How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite aviation channel, and as you can tell, another month has flown by, and so today we are here with the June 2024 update for Chicago O'Hare International Airport's Terminal 5. Should be a pretty quick video, relatively quicker update today, as today's update is based at 6:30 a.m., so not a whole lot of aircraft to cover today, but without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start off with the taxiways as usual. First aircraft here is the American Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is making service out to Dallas-Fort Worth as Flight 2754. Next up, we've got the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-900ER making service out to Seattle as Flight 333. We've got the Air Canada Airbus A220-300 making service out to Toronto Pearson as Flight 500. Here we have a Spirit Airbus A321 making service down to Orlando as Flight 2057. We've got another Spirit A321 here. This is making service out to Cancun as Flight 104. And excuse the construction paper here. Just a bunch of the paper on this mat, unfortunately, is kind of warping upwards now. Not too sure if it's just because of the air pressure or something like that down here, or the glue just wearing out. So I have to probably fix a couple of those areas on the mat, unfortunately. Next up, we've got the United Airbus A321neo making service out to San Francisco as Flight 336. As United takes delivery of more 321neos, of course, they're going to be increasing the routes that these things fly on. Chicago, I believe, has the most neo flights for United, obviously. They've got San Francisco. I believe Fort Lauderdale might be still running. They've got Orlando, Houston, and I think they might be adding Vegas and Los Angeles as well. Sometime soon if they haven't already. And there might be some East Coast flights as well. Would love to fly this someday. I've been supposed to fly the Neo a couple times in the past, actually, to, where was it? Phoenix. Oh, Phoenix might be another one that they still do. But I was supposed to fly that to Phoenix back in January, but because of all the storms, winter storms, snow, ended up having to cancel that trip for good. Well, it ended up being for good reason though. But yeah, hopefully sometime soon, because these things are increasing their presence in Chicago. So hopefully sometime later this year or next year we'll get to fly the Neo. It's a beautiful looking aircraft for sure. Next up, we've got the American 737-800 making service out to Charlotte as Flight 2796. And then last but not least, this is United 737-900ER making service out to Newark Liberty as Flight 1658. Alright, as usual, next up we're going to start off with the Delta side of Terminal 5. Over here at Gate M2 is the Boeing 717-200, pushing back the service out to Minneapolis-St. Paul as Flight 2571. Here at Gate M4 we've got the Airbus Embraer 175 from Delta Connection. This is operated by SkyWest, making service out to New York, JFK as Flight 3799. At Gate M5, we've got the Delta Airbus A320, and this aircraft will be making service out to Salt Lake City as Flight 2426. Pushing back from Gate M6, we've got the Delta 757-200 without winglets. This is making the first departure of the day out to Atlanta, or Citrus Aviation's airport. That's Flight 1701, the 5:45 a.m. departure, slightly delayed today. So we've got this flight 1701 departing to Atlanta, and then there's another flight you'll see right now. I'll just do it right now, why not? This over here at M8, this would be flight number 1367 to Atlanta. That's the 7 a.m. departure. So yeah, you have two 757s that actually remain overnight in Chicago, which is pretty cool. And in addition to all these other planes, all these Delta aircraft, they remain overnight in Chicago, which is pretty cool. And there's probably more. It definitely changes based on the schedule, the monthly schedule. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen up to 3 757s at T5 at one time, and that's mainly because one of them had a mechanical issue, and so the other one had to be brought in, something like that. And that was when I was flying out back in November on the 757 to Atlanta. So there was one here, maybe there was one probably like right here, and then there was us out of M14 for whatever reason. That was a pretty cool, not coincidence, but a situation there. So we got that 757. Now we'll do this all in one take, why not? Here is the newly updated part, which I didn't really... Well, I've been saying this for a very long time, the past couple months, as you probably know. Is there a gate M9? Where is M9? What's the situation with M9? Well, finally, I flew through O'Hare earlier this month, actually beginning of the month, June 1st, and I was finally able to get a good look at this part of the airport. I was in Terminal 3, so I could see right across to Terminal 5. You can see this video clip, you've probably been seeing it for the past couple seconds now. These are what the gates look like, M11 all the way back up to gate M2. You can see that M11 is there, M10 is there, M9 is there where that A220 is, and then we're just moving down more or less the same gates as you've always seen. So finally got that confirmation that M9 does indeed exist, and I know where it is now. And so I spent, from the time I'm filming this, I completed this little renovation about a day or two ago. So it's I'm glad that I finally was able to get it done. It was a bit of a challenge, a bit of a hassle, because I had to rip up a couple of the foils and re-glue them, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, a bunch of the paper is just kind of warping now, unfortunately, which I guess is expected over time with, glue just tends to wear out. So unfortunately I had to re-glue a bunch of that stuff. So you might have, I don't think you noticed, but you might be able to now see that where you have the gate numbers on the apron here. Unfortunately, because I had to redo this whole part, I actually had to shift over M10. Where's M10? This is M10. I had to shift it over a couple centimeters or inches, so you can kind of barely see it. The M10 number was right here, so you can see how far to the right I had to shift it just to make space for M9. M11 is still here, albeit crooked, and then I was trying to do the M11 wide body stand, but I ran out of ink on my paint pen, so I have to redo that. So M11 does have a wide body stand right here. Hopefully Delta starts bringing us like wide bodies sometime. It'd be nice to have them bring back the Paris seasonal service. They used to trade off with Air France during the year. Long story short, so that probably won't happen anytime soon. But anyway, M11 is here, M10 I shifted over here, and it kind of looks like this in real life. M11 is actually a bit not staggered, but it's not as far up as M11 is. M10's a bit further back, so that's what that kind of represents here. And so I had enough space to squeeze M9 right here. I really don't know what the max aircraft types are here, like the biggest planes that can park here. I don't think they can fit a 757 at M9. There's absolutely no way. Not that it didn't seem that way as when I looked at it. And then they've maybe M10 they could fit a 7.5. I think I've parked here in a 7.5 before. Or it might have been M11. I think it was M11 actually, my bad. No way, no, there's no way they're fitting a 7.5 at M10, my fault. These two gates are mainly for the 717s and the CRJs, the regional jets, and then just the A220s I think that could fit here. And then 7.5s, you only see those at M8, and then probably 7 and 6. I don't really see them anywhere else, to be honest. But that is the Delta side. We're not done with these aircraft yet, though. We'll start off at M9 for the first time, including M9 in an update. Really exciting. This one is an A220-100, and this aircraft is making service to New York LaGuardia's flight 1416. We got the 717-200 at M10 here. This is making service out to Detroit. It's flight 1509. And then we have an A220-300 over here making service out to Seattle Tacoma. It's flight 862. Alright, proceeding with the rest of the terminal. Over here at gate M18 we've got the United Airlines Boeing 787-10. You can probably guess where this came from. There's really only one early morning United wide body arrival, and that would be flight 844 from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Of course, the New Delhi service is unfortunately still suspended. It's probably going to remain suspended for the rest of the year because of the Russian airspace restrictions. They can't fly non-stop, at least from Chicago to Delhi, without Russian airspace, if that makes sense. If they were to avoid Russian airspace on that flight, they would probably have to stop over somewhere, and that would be really inefficient. It costs a lot of money with fuel and everything, so that's why the New Delhi flight is still suspended for United. Doesn't matter for Air India, obviously, because India doesn't have as cold relations with Russia as the US does right now, so that's why Air India continues to use Russian airspace, long story short. Didn't put Air India in this update, obviously, unfortunately. Should have put them in, but they technically don't arrive till around 7:15 or so. Or 6:45, so maybe I should have put them in, but whatever, doesn't matter right now. Anyway, this came in from Sao Paulo. So like I've mentioned a couple times in previous updates, the early hours of the morning at Terminal 5, very common to see a big chunk of our Latin American traffic out of here. Even though we do have a bunch of flights to Latin America later in the day, like at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., the early morning hours, decent. I think that's the most number of flights we have to Latin America, between 12 even maybe 1 and 7 a.m. That's like the peak time for the Latin America flights. So this one right here, Aeromexico 1686 from Mexico City, and this arrived at like 5 in the morning, 5:45 in the morning. It departs at 7 or 7:30 back to Mexico City. Is flight 1687. It's a Boeing 737 MAX 8 today. And next up at gate M21, we have the Copa Airlines Boeing 737-800 making service out to Panama City as flight 236. That's a about 8 a.m. departure there. I haven't closely looked at Copa's schedule in Chicago, but a couple times during the week they'll have 2 flights in the day. Otherwise, other days during the week they have just the 1 flight in the day, which is technically, this is the 1 flight that runs every day, the departure flight 236, and I forgot what the inbound flight number is, but this aircraft comes in from Panama City at like 12:30 a.m. and it sits here the whole night, you know what I mean, the whole night basically just sits here till its departure at 8 in the morning, so it just sits here for like 7.5 hours. But this is technically the daily flight. It runs every single day, and then various times during the week, I didn't check the exact frequency. It might be like 3 to 4, maybe 5 times a week. They also have that afternoon service, flight 228, 229, like I've shown in previous updates, that comes in like 2 p.m., departs 3 p.m., something like that. But this flight, I think this is the first time I'm showing this flight in an update. Might be wrong on that, but yeah, that's going off to Panama City today. Okay, so believe it or not, this is the last wide-body aircraft you're going to be seeing in this update. Right here at gate M24 is the Royal Jordanian Boeing 787-8, and this aircraft has just arrived from Amman as flight 265, and its departure back to Amman will be around 11:30 a.m. as flight 266. So like I covered, I think in the last update I might have covered this, Royal Jordanian adds this morning flight during the summer to cater for the increased demand of people going over to the Middle East, particularly Jordan and neighboring countries around there, because they're a big Arab population in the Chicago area. It's, I think, one of the biggest Arab American populations in the U.S. is in Chicago. So that's why there's so much, traffic to the Middle East from here, and that's especially why Royal Jordanian adds this additional service during the summer. Otherwise, the rest of the year it's just that 1 flight they have a day in the afternoon, evening. But this flight is a supplement to this morning service during the summer months. So it's pretty cool to see it. I saw it when I was passing through O'Hare earlier this month. I think that was my first time seeing it, or first or second time seeing it, and it's a relatively new frequency they added maybe 1 or 2 years back, so pretty nice to see that one here. So it comes in like 6:30, 6:45, pretty early in the morning, and then won't be departing till about 11:30. Alright, so like I covered in the previous 2 updates for T5, Frontier has grown a lot for whatever reason at O'Hare. Last month they added a bunch of new flights out of O'Hare, and I think maybe Midway as well, but we're talking about O'Hare here. So in this update, you're going to see a bunch of new Frontier aircraft that I added in the past couple weeks. This is the first one. This is the Airbus A321neo with the America's Green Airline livery. And this aircraft came in from Houston, which is crazy. Houston, wow. Intercontinental is flight 1882, arrived at 12 a.m. and sat here overnight, making service out to Denver as flight 3173. That's an 8 a.m. departure there. And this aircraft I have here at M25, I did that on purpose, and that's because this is the exact same plane that I flew last year from Chicago to Atlanta, out of this exact same gate, November 605 FR Edward the Bald Eagle. Really happy that Aeroclassics decided to release this. I've been hoping somebody would make this livery soon in 400 scale, and thankfully Aeroclassics decided to make the one plane that I did fly. So this is I think one of 3 Neos, 321 Neos in this livery, 603, 604, 605. So the first 321 Neos that Frontier got were painted in this special Pratt & Whitney livery. So pretty cool to have that here. That's the first of 5 Frontier aircraft you'll be seeing in this update, so let's just keep on rolling. So right here, pushing back out of M26 is a Frontier A320neo with Champ the Bronco on the tail. And this aircraft's making service out to Philadelphia as flight 2112 as a 6 a.m. departure. And this aircraft had come in from Orlando as flight 3043 at 1 a.m. Both of those are, I think, resumptions. I think they might have served Philadelphia in the past at some point from O'Hare. if not midway. I could be wrong on that. And then Orlando, they've been serving Orlando for ages, so that's nothing new there. Alright, moving on to gate M27, we've got another new model. Here's the Frontier A321neo with Chopper, the Great White Shark, on the tail. And this aircraft is going to be heading out to Cancun as flight not Cancun, sorry. Yeah, Cancun, sorry. Flight 44 out to Cancun, 7 a.m. departure, and came in from Denver the night, or not the night before, but earlier this morning at 12 a.m. as flight 3172. Alright, pushing back from M28, we've got the Frontier A320neo with Baja the Whale Shark on the tail, making service out to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic as flight 80. It's a 6 a.m. departure. And this aircraft has been here for a while. It came in the night before from Phoenix as flight 1410, 8 p.m. arrival. And moving on, we'll just do this all one take here. Gate M29, we've got the Frontier A321. And this aircraft's got Steve the Eagle on the tail. You've seen this one many times. This aircraft's making service to Atlanta as flight 1596, 7 a.m. departure. And this aircraft came in not too long ago, 5 a.m. arrival from Las Vegas as flight 2146. So yeah, that's a regular 321 right here, not a Neo. If you look at the engines, that's the geminijets Neo mold, and then that's the regular 321. And then if that wasn't bad enough, that's a regular 321 right here, and that's the Aero Classics Neo mold. Look at that, that's a proper Neo, and then this is, I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but you can see how big the engines are. I didn't see it. I didn't see how much of a problem this was until I put these side by side. This is not so, the engines are not supposed to be, but they're not supposed to be that big. Let's be real. That's way too. I don't know what they were doing there, but it doesn't bother me that much, to be honest. I just didn't really notice how much of a problem it was until you put the Neo, like Aero Classics Neo mold, next to geminijets regular. That's not even a Neo. That's what makes it so annoying. Like, that's a Neo right there with the Volaris. So that, yeah, the size difference, man, that's just crazy. Alright, moving on to gate M30, we've got the Volaris A321neo. It's making service out to Mexico City as flight 703, and came in from Mexico City earlier as flight 700. Fun fact, Volaris and Frontier are actually owned by the same parent company, Indigo Travel Group or Indigo Travel Company, something like that. Volaris, Frontier, and JetSmart down in Chile. JetSmart? Yeah, JetSmart down in Chile. They're all owned by Indigo Travel Partners, all three low-cost airlines. Pretty cool. You got 3 ULCCs from 3 different countries, all under one umbrella. So that's a fun fact for today, in case you didn't know. Alright, moving on to gate M36, we've got a Southwest Boeing 737-800 in the Illinois 1 livery. This aircraft is making service out to Dallas Love Field as flight 5820. Moving on to gate M38, we've got a 737-700 making service out to Orlando as flight 2985. And then last but not least, over here, gate M40 is a 737 MAX 8. This aircraft's making service out to Phoenix Sky Harbor as flight 5245. Alright, so with that, we have reached the end of this Terminal 5 update. Hope you all enjoyed it. News regarding O'Hare, it is the end of June. Starting June 28th, Austrian's going to be bringing in their 787-9s. They're not brand new, they're second-hand aircraft. They used to fly for Bamboo Airways, so they have 2 of them right now. One currently is an all-white livery, and then one just got painted into the full Austrian colors. So starting June 28th, which is a couple of days after you're watching this, they're going to bring the 789 here to Chicago. I probably won't have it, the model itself, by the next update. I will hopefully have Austrian Airlines by the next update, the July update. I'm planning to have Austrian 777 and then also Air Serbia, hopefully by the next update, finally. But it's kind of poor timing to add the Austrian 777 because they're literally starting to fly the 787 here just a couple days after you're watching this. But as it stands right now, we're supposed to have the 787-9 flying here for about, what month is it? So technically July through October, November, and then it switches back to the 777 as of now in November, unless they decide to keep it full-time 787 for the rest of time. I don't know what the update on that is, but long story short, we're getting the 787-9 from Austrian starting later this week. Pretty exciting, and that's the only major news that I really can think of. I don't know anything else that's really happened lately at O'Hare. There might be, but as you probably are used to by now, I completely miss out on some news topics you know, after publishing the video. I missed them while filming it, and then people tell me in the comments that why didn't you cover this? Well, that's why, because I keep forgetting everything. So that's about it. That's all I can think of right now. Unless there is anything that I missed, let me know in the comments below. Really excited for the July update. I think you're going to enjoy the July update when that comes out at the end of July. We will see, because like I said, we are hopefully going to have Air Serbia and Austrian in there making their long-awaited debuts, because those are two airlines that I've been missing for a very long time. And once I add those, we only have one airline missing from T5, which would be Viva Aerobus from Mexico. Those are just impossible models to find. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Expect more videos to roll out as summer proceeds. I am doing an internship until August. It takes up about 40 hours of my week, 9 to 5 every day, pretty much Monday through Friday. So that takes up most of my time, but I'll do my best to power through it. I end in beginning of August, so we'll see how that goes remainder of the time. But anyways, until then, thank you very much for watching. Take care, everybody, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.